Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name is Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a salon friendly gel polish design using the new autumn 2024 collection. So starting off, I have already prepped and applied some press-on nails and buffed the shiny layer off of those press-on nails so we've got a nice matte surface. And then this is the beautiful new collection. If you missed the swatch video for this, I will leave it linked in the description box below. I did mention in that video that I thought Nudeini, brown suede and crimson night would look really beautiful together in a set of nails, and they were very my kind of colors, so I had to get a design done using these. So we're not going to go too heavy on the nail art. I still wanted there to be a bit of nail art, but I wanted to make sure the main focus of this set of nails was on the colors. So I'm going to come straight in and apply my first coat of color on all of the nails. We're going to be doing Nudeini on 2 of the nails, crimson night on 1 and brown suede on the other 2. Now I've decided to do this design over press-on nails because when I'm creating content, I'm changing my nails quite a lot, and I find this the quickest and easiest way to do them. But you could definitely do this design either over your natural nails, or you could do it over a builder gel set of nails, or even a sculpting gel set of nails, or even acrylic nails. So you could basically do this design over whatever style of nails you're using as your base. And the design is very adaptable as well, so you could do it on this length, shorter or longer, it'd all work out. Now let's talk application. So Nudeini is a very pale creamy color. It has a hint of a pinkish peach tone to it, but it's a very pale cream shade. So you want to work with it like you would your white gel polish, i.e. applying it nice and thin. So I'm keeping that first coat of color as thin as I can, and I'm not stressing if it looks a little bit uneven or a little bit patchy, because all of that will go away and the full pigmentation will come through when you apply your second coat of color. So as you can see here, I've done 2 coats of that. I always have my stripe liner brush to hand, as it is the easiest way to get a nice neat cuticle application. And not only can you get a nice cuticle application with it, you can get close to those cuticles as well. I have quite a rounded cuticle area, so I find it a little difficult to get really up close and neat with the bottle brush. So I always just have that stripe liner brush to hand so that I can come in, load it up with gel polish and create that nice round neat line, and then get that little bit closer. You'll find when you're working in a salon as well, that the more clients you do, the more different shapes and sizes, nail beds and cuticle areas you get. So I would highly recommend having the stripe liner brush to hand. It's great for coming down those side walls, especially when you're working on a client, because you can really pull the skin back and get a super close and clean application. There we applied the gorgeous crimson night, and I absolutely love this shade. I feel as though it looks so beautiful with brown suede, which is what we're going to apply now. Again, this is quite a light color, but it doesn't have that kind of difficulty to apply it like a lighter color, like a white has to apply, if that makes sense. Sometimes white can just be a little bit tricky when it comes to application, so it's always best to keep those shades thin, and then you're not going to have no lumpy bumpy thick gel application or any issues when it comes to curing. But brown suede applies absolutely beautifully. All of the shades in this collection do. I would just simply say keep an eye out with Nudeini that you're not applying it too thick so that you don't have any curing issues. So then, as you can see here, I'm coming in again with my stripe liner brush and getting a nice neat application. And I have to say the coverage in one coat is absolutely amazing. I do also use brown suede to do a little bit of nail art in this set, and you only need 1 coat of it, as it's got a really high pigmentation, especially where we're going to do the nail art over Nudeini with it as well. Now off camera I did also do 1 coat of brown sugar on my thumbnail. So now we've got all of those first coats of colour out of the way and cured, we're going to come in and do our second coat of colour. Now, as I was saying, I apply my first coat nice and thin. The same goes for my second coat of colour. The Kiki London gel polishes are highly pigmented enough that 2 thin coats is fine. So you don't need to come in and do your second coat any thicker necessarily than you would your first coat. I do just like like to brush over a few times to make sure everything's nice and even. And same again, if I feel as though I need to get a bit closer to that cuticle area, I will do it with my stripe liner brush. The only difference I really do with application on the second coat is I come in and cap the free edge. If you don't necessarily always see it in the video, because I don't necessarily make a big point of what I'm doing, but I'm just making sure that that gel polish is coming right around the tip of the nail. These press-on nails that I'm doing are quite thin, so you don't necessarily have to put too much on to cap the free edge, if that makes sense. I will show you guys up close once we finish the second coat, but you can already really see here, once you come in and add your second coat of Nudeini, even though we've only applied 2 thin coats, it is a super opaque shade. So this makes a beautiful base colour for nail art. I have already seen some stamping done with it over the top used by one of the ambassadors, and it is the perfect base color for stamping if you don't necessarily want to use a white. It makes it look a little bit softer, and by not necessarily having a bright white base underneath your nail art, it helps make your nail art pop as well, especially where we're already in the autumn sets, but we're going into all the Christmassy sets as well, where it's nice to have a warm cozy look to the nails. So I do think Nudeini and brown sugar as well make really great bases for nail art if you're looking for something a little bit different to, say, your usual white or pink. I'm going to use Nudeini as my base for a little bit of nail art in this video. We're going to do some French. I really wanted to highlight using the French brush because I felt as though we could create a nice French using these colours and kind of mixing it up to show you guys how you can create that classic French look and keeping your colour palette the same, but it'll look really different. You'll see what I mean when we get to that part of the video. But yeah, those 2 shades I think make really great bases for nail art, and I personally think these 3 colours together look absolutely beautiful. I would happily just wear this set as it is without any nail art over the top, because just by having a mix up of the colours, it's something different to your regular 1 colour manicure. So this is what the nails look like once we had come in and done our second coat of colour. So as you can see, they've got that really beautiful high pigmentation to them. So let's move on and do some French nail art. So of course, to do this, I'm going to be using the Kiki London French brush. Throughout November, there is the Nail Art November sale on the Kiki London website. And I do believe the French brush and all the brushes are included in that, so it's a perfect time to save some money on the brushes because I would highly recommend them. The French brush, the stripe liner brush are my absolute go-tos. So here you can see I've loaded up my French brush with a generous amount of Crimson Night, really worked it through the bristles, and then I'm just going to lay it flat down on the nail, roughly taking it down to where I want that smile line to go, and then I just flip it over and do the same on the other side, keeping it nice and flat to the nail and pulling it down, and it creates the easiest smile line. And then if you want to elongate the wings of that smile line, make it look a bit deeper, depending obviously on the look you're going for, I like to use the ends of that brush to pull those down and create a deeper curve. And I really like this style French when I'm working on almond shaped nails, which are probably my favorite nail shape at the moment, or have been for a while. So we're going to cure that coat first coat for 30 seconds, come in and do exact same again for our second coat, and again always keeping your coats nice and thin, 1 so you don't have any chipping or curing issues, and 2 so you don't end up with a thick, bulky, uneven tip. So we're loading that brush up, placing it right down on top of where we done that first coat, and keeping the brush nice and flat so that as we pull it down we get a nice even application of that color, and then just using the longer length side of the brush to really bring that gel polish down and create a nice deep smile line. Of course, you can play around with this if you just want if you're working with short nails and you just want a classic short French tip, this works really well for that as well. I then on the second coat come in with my round nail art brush just to clean up and make sure that that smile line was looking super crisp, and then we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. So this is what our French looked like. So this is Crimson Night over Nudeini, which I really loved. We're going to come back in a little bit and do a French on the little finger as well, and we're going to do Crimson Night over Brown Suede, which I really liked the look of that as well, so I had to show you guys. Originally I was going to do both my French tips on the Nudeini bases. So this now was going to be a French as well, but I really wanted to see what the Crimson Night would look like over brown sugar, and brown suede, because I'm glad I did, because it looked really pretty. So here I'm going to use the brown suede over Nudeini, kind of just to create some cut-offs on the cuticle side, and then we're going to do the same on the tip. So it kind of still gives a similar look to a French when it comes to the tip of the nail. So I felt as though it tied in nicely with the French design that we've got going on in this set. And as I said, I didn't want to do too much nail art that would pull away from the colours of this set. So I didn't want to go in and add any stamping or water decals, because then you're drawing the attention away from the colours, and I really wanted this set to focus on those new colours. So using the stripe liner brush, I'm just loading up that brush. It's so easy to use. It's got really super fine bristles, so once you work your gel polish through it, you can create really neat lines or cutouts like this so effortlessly. So it's great if you are on a time scale, for example, if you're working in a salon, because it makes nail art a lot easier. So I only did one coat of brown suede over Nudeini because it seemed pigmented enough to me that it definitely didn't need a second coat. I then did want to add in some gold, so I went for champagne spritz, because this is a highly jam-packed full of teeny tiny glitter pieces, so you get a really nice glitter coverage with it without having to add loads on. And I felt as though it just added a nice hint of sparkle, a little nod towards the festive season. So I'm going to come in again, load up my stripe liner brush, really work it through that gel polish, and then run off some of the excess before we go in and apply it to the nail. And then you're very easily able to just swoop it across the nail and create a super thin glitter line. It's a little tricky to see on video, but you will see it close up. I didn't want to draw too much attention to the glitter. I wanted it to look quite nice and subtle, but it did create a nice little breakup between Nudeini and brown suede, and I just loved that hint of sparkle. So we're going to pop that in and secure for 30 seconds, and then that is that now done. And this is where we're going to jump back. Oh no, first of all, we're going to do a little bit more nail art. So I had to add in some gold flakes. After I'd done our little glitter, hint of glitter, I thought, do you know what, this set does need a little bit more gold in it. Again, I wanted to keep the overall set fairly simple. I have a terrible habit of, once I start with nail art, that's it, we end up full-blown nail art. I wanted to keep this kind of simple. So we're just going to take the platinum flakes and the round nail art brush and do a similar look to what we've done on the middle finger by just having something going down, one swoosh on the cuticle side and one swoosh on the tip side. So I'm going to tap them on, and I use the round nail art brush to do this just so I could have a little bit more control over how many I pick up, as it's very easy to pick a lot of these up. But then I'm going to give them a really good rub with the silicone tool, and this is going to burnish them in, get rid of the flaky look and give it a more chromed effect, and then it gives it that rough look to the edges, a little bit of an abstract vibe. If I was going full on nail art, I would pop some water decals or stamping over the top, but I wanted to keep it simple. So then we're going to move back to the little finger and finish off and do a French on this now. Again, same as before, loading up that French brush. And one thing I wanted to mention was I was always put off doing a full set of French nails because I hate trying to get the French tip consistent throughout the entire set, but the French brush eliminates a lot of that struggle, because you can easily see how far down you want to take that first part of your smile line. You can do that all with the brush without having to do any like mapping out. You can just come in, take your French brush down, look at the previous nail you did and take it down as far as you want, and then apply your color. And do you know what I mean? And then you can, if you've got quite deep smile line edges, wings, you can come in and do that as well. I always found that struggle when I was just using either the bottle brush or a small nail art brush to do a full set of French to getting the entire set looking consistent. But I don't have that problem now when I'm doing a full set with the French brush. And I know we're not doing a full set in this design, but these two, the French tip looked consistent with the one I'd done previous, so it matched up nicely. That's going for the shape of the French and how far down that French tip goes, because if you have a nail where the French tip is coming down further on one nail than what it did on the previous nail, it's really noticeable, especially when you're doing a full set. So yeah, if you haven't already checked out the French brush, then please do, because if you struggle with French, it makes it so much easier. On to the thumb now, I'm going to match it up with that ring finger because I really wanted to see how the gold flakes would look over the brown suede. And again, I just really loved playing around with the different effects it creates. Like, I feel as though the gold pops a lot more over the brown suede, but over Crimson Night it gives a bit more of a nod to Christmas, if that makes sense. So it tied together really well in this set. So here you can see a bit better how I'm really burnishing them in. This is to make sure that they've made really good contact with your gel polish underneath, and it creates a bit of a different effect as well. You still get that shattered look rather than a smooth chrome look, but I like that look, if that makes sense. So now we've finished all of our nail art. Of course, we need to come in and top coat. So I'm going to take the crystal top coat today. This is one of the latest top coats from Kiki London, and it has a beautiful high shine finish, but I really love how it seals in your nail art as well. So I'm going to go in and use more of a floating method because we've got things like the French, which adds a very thin unevenness, because obviously you've got your 2 coats of colour and then you've done 2 coats of colour again, but only in one section of the nail. Similar with here where we've got our glitter. So I float it on so it smooths everything out, because if you've applied your coats nice and thin, that little slight unevenness should be very, very minuscule, that it's not noticeable. But if you float your top coat on, it will give you that super smooth finish. So I'm taking a small amount of top coat onto my brush and just applying a light pressure to float it down the nail, rather than applying a stronger pressure where the brush fans out more, if that makes sense. Same where we're working over the gold flakes as well. We don't want to move them around, although they are stuck down quite well into our tacky inhibition layer. By floating your top coat on, you're not going to start pulling them off or disturbing them, because obviously they're not sealed in until you have top coated. So this then requires a 60-second cure, and just look at the shine. I loved this set of nails. They're not too OTT on the nail art, but they have enough nail art in them to feel like you've gone all out, if that makes sense. Of course, we're going to finish off with some cuticle oil, so I'm applying a little drop of fresh rose to all of the nails, giving that a really good rub in. With the weather getting colder, cuticle oil is an essential. Of course, you should be applying it twice a day anyway, but I know we forget. But with it getting colder, I would also definitely recommend the K&S hand lotion as well. Whenever I use my cuticle oil, whilst I've still got a lot of it on my nails, I come in and apply the hand lotion, and it's next level softness. I love how it leaves my skin feeling like instantly. It gives your skin a really nice fresh boost. So this was the finished set of nails. As always, I will leave all the products linked in the description box below. If you have any questions, pop them in the comments below and I will be happy to help. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, please do consider hitting that subscription button. I upload new videos every single Friday. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all so much for watching. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.